an edit necessary about restraint and seclusion, we need to make sure that restraint is not included in that statement. It was only to ban seclusion, not restraint. Hear that, Jackie? Perfect.
I know. I was like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to give you another minute because they're pretty long.
By the way, very well done.
You know, that's the expert over there. Give credit to Jackie. She does. Jackie Kelly Bush got an extra E in her name because I have.
You Kenny.
I just noticed that. Mine is EY. Oh, and Ivan's name is incorrect there too, right below that, under open forum. Jackie, did you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It says Ian, not Ivan.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Are there any additional revisions to the amendments? To the amendments. Yeah, took a flight to nowhere.
Oh, did you do that today?
I did. Okay, so we're going to approve those minutes as amended. Now, welcome everybody. I cannot believe it's May and we are wrapping up our successful year. We are lucky enough to have Stacy Hoagland, the chair of the Evergreen Task Force, with us tonight. And it's perfect timing because we just had the final meeting of the year and she's going to have a lot to share with you. You should have received on your way in or at your table a copy of the latest Evergreen report, as well as like a little kind of shortcut to it. Did everybody get that? That'll be helpful as Stacy's talking, so you can refer to that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Stacy Hoagland. Thanks for being here.
And if you would hold your questions, try to hold them to the end. So just jot yourselves notes so we can be as time efficient as possible because we are kind of up against it tonight. So yes. We really, to be honest, can I just, yeah, one more second. Thank you.
We are doing things that we haven't done in a while per our bylaws for the procedures for elections. So we're kind of just making sure we're following everything, tightening it up. So in that, we have to vote by roll call, which is going to entail literally calling out everybody's name. It's going to take a lot more time than just holding up a yellow card. So we want to make sure we have enough time to get that smooth and perfectly executed. So it is now 7 o'clock. Stacy, let's say we've got till 8 to cover talk, questions, everything. That should be good, right? Okay, so but jot down your questions so that as she goes through, that we're not going to just keep, because the dialogue could go on forever. Jot your questions down and then, or even write them down and I can pass them to Stacy. Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Okay, so is there anybody who's not familiar with what the Evergreen Task Force even is?
No, we're good? Okay. So we had our final meeting for the year last Monday. And there were, if you look at, if you look at this is the document that you have that's pretty much a summary of the things that we've gone over that have been really the most important things. So if you look at just the first page, it talks about there were 5 priority areas that were determined once the district got the enormity of the massive report. So the areas that we wanted to cover were expanding the continuum of services and placements available within each school. Because as you guys, I'm sure, see, that you can go to one school and you have one thing. And you go down the street to the other school and you've got them doing something different. And that's because we have something called site-based management. That's not the total reason, but that's certainly a very large part of the issues that we have here in Broward. So trying to work on that, and that came up last week. It came up on Tuesday. The district ESE office, and Ms. Clay's here. So Ms. Clay and Dr. Hickman, Mr. Gold, who's the chief academic officer, they did a presentation to the school board. And because I have to, any of you guys who know me, you know I have a very hard time biting my tongue. So I had to work really hard during that board meeting to do that. And so what I did is when I, later that evening, because actually I had to leave a little early because I had a dentist appointment, but I watched the rest of the meeting. You guys could see that. You can go on to the browardschools.com website and you can watch the workshop. So if you want that type of entertainment, you can turn that on and take a look. So I did follow up from that meeting with an email to them, and I'll go over with you guys some of the things that I told or suggested the board to do. I encourage everybody to remind, as needed, your school board representatives that they do represent you. They're not just people that are elected that get to sit in a chair and talk amongst themselves. They are there to represent you. So when you have certain concerns about things, it's very important to go to them, because several of them said last week, I had a call from a parent. I heard this from a parent, that from a parent. So they are depending upon their constituents, and that's you guys, to share with them the concerns that you have for things that are happening in your schools. So don't feel like you can't do that. They're there because you elected them. Your district elected them there. Okay. So the expansion of the curriculum and services and placement we need to look at, just because we're struggling with, which we have for a long time, struggled with systemic progression, where we see one school may be making some progress in some areas and then another one's not. And then improve staffing levels to ensure that they are sufficient to meet the needs of students. So it's basically, we spent a lot of time. The first year we spent a lot of time looking and talking about the middle school issues, the support facilitators in the middle schools because of their caseloads. And then last year we went into looking more closely at the speech language pathologists, because some of them have over 100 students on their caseload. And when you think about that, and remember, they have to write goals. They have to handle the IEP development, their portion. They have to attend IEP meetings. And some of those meetings are days long, not only hours long, but sometimes you go into multiple meetings. Every minute that person is sitting at that table is another minute that they're not in their groups or in their classrooms servicing their kids. So, add on to their regular caseload of, say, 100 students, and then you've got all these other things that they have to do. And some of the principals, they have like an ESE specialist doing lunch duty, doing bus duty, kind of running around. And so they have more responsibilities than just, what we would commonly think of these people as being their primary responsibilities. So we wanted to look very carefully at the staffing levels. Quite well, I won't say quite often, too often, I think that services decisions are based on the caseload. They're not going to tell you that. But if you have 100 kids on your caseload and you know that you do not have another minute to speak out, you are going to sit at that IEP meeting in as nice a way as you can, maybe discourage a parent from going for that extra 30 minutes a week or whatever it might be. So we wanted to be able to focus on that so that these people are not inundated with hours and minutes of services that they need to provide to students. So by decreasing their overall caseloads would give them more flexibility in really providing the services that the student really needs. Those were the two really big areas that we hit on when it comes to the staffing levels because they were so off the chain. Any of you guys who have kids who are either approaching middle school or already in middle school or above, I'm sure you must know a couple years back, the state made a change to, if you were on standards, it was required that you be taught by teachers who are regular education certified. And so how our schools, for the most part, interpreted that was that, well, you can't be in an ESE class anymore in middle school. You're going to be in regular ed. So when you come out of 5th grade, even if you were in a special program, you were going into regular ed in 6th grade. And that's a lot of kids. There are a lot of kids in those, what you call clusters, that are regular standard kids. And they're tough kids. That's why they had the services that they had in 5th grade. So now they're in middle school, which, if you guys remember middle school, it kind of sucked for everybody. So all those challenges and all those hormones and all that stuff that's going on in middle school, and now it's compounded by I have to change classes 6 times a day, where I was in a classroom with 12 kids in 5th grade. So it's a huge issue. And then we had all the sport facilitators with, again, 100 students or more. I remember there was one school that had 124 when we started. So these are areas that the task force has been fairly instrumental, I think, in reducing those. So, each year we see where those numbers are getting much better. So we're getting better. Still have ways to go, but we're getting much better with that. Number 3 is reinforce and support the district's child find teams. I sit on a committee with the Children's Services Council. It's a special needs advisory, and one of our subgroups is a birth to sick committee. And that committee, probably 2 years ago, was closely considering the preschoolers and the time that it was taking kids to be placed in a program and getting, an IEP. And it was getting long. It was months from the minute that the parent made a phone call, I think something's going on with my kid, till placement in the school and receiving services. So Ellie Schroet, who's the director of the Children's Diagnostic and Treatment Center, is our chair. And so she kind of activated our committee, had some really good communications with Child Find and Fiddler staff. And we advocated very strongly, and we got that put way down. So now instead of months, you're looking at weeks, which is awesome. But what it's done is it's created nearly 1,000 more students in preschool between last year and this year. And at the end of last year, which we're kind of, unfortunately, there, not as bad as we were last year, but we're kind of there again, is that we've got preschoolers in classrooms with 18 students. That's a lot of kids when they're 3 and 4 years old and they all have disabilities. Now that's our specialized, that's not the intensive kids. So those classrooms are less, have less children. But that was one of the things that we wanted to focus on was getting the teams, because we couldn't have more testing being done because we didn't have enough people to do the testing. So the community advocated for that, and we got that. So we kind of ended up in another dilemma with not having enough space. So we need classrooms, we need teachers, we need speech therapists. And in case you don't know, we're at a really critical shortage to hire speech language pathologists. So while we want to and we need to work on their caseloads, we also have to recognize that it's very difficult to find those people. because when they can go private and make really a nice chunk of change, they're not as motivated to get a job with a public school system. So number 4, establish a framework to promote and support meaningful and appropriate involvement and interest external stakeholders in educational programs. So to be able to, bring in you guys, bring in the families, get families more activated. And like, I'm thrilled to see even this size group because, for years I was the president of the Autism Society. And over the years, we've had our ebbs and flows with that group, but it's a strong group. It's been a strong group, and we would have, we used to have monthly meetings, and we would have 100 people come. That room would be packed. You couldn't breathe in that room. But when it rained, you had nobody coming out. Nobody. So I'm really pleased and very proud of you guys for coming out in the rain, because the disability community, it rains, it blunders, and forget it, we're staying home. We're not going out. So that's awesome to see you guys there. And so that's one of the things that we wanted to work on. And we talked last week a little bit about the website. Because, if you try to go on to browardschools.com and find information related to ESE, it's a little tricky. So, that's being updated. And we talked about being able to have parental input on how to make that a more user-friendly website. So that's in the works. Number 5, closely monitor ESE budgets and expenditures at the campus and department levels, and we talked last year about the fact that teachers are generally not aware, like hardly ever, I would say, the amount of dollars that their classrooms are generating on school campuses. And regardless of whether you're a regular ed teacher or special ed teacher, most teachers are going out and they're buying their stuff. They're buying things for their classrooms. That's sad in itself. But with the ESE, there are dollars within the IDA budget that pays for clear on the budget materials and supplies. So we wanted to be able to have the teachers be made aware of this fact. Because that's one of those things. If you walk into one school, you walk into a classroom with visuals and the boards and everything is just pops. It's like awesome. And then you can go into another school where the walls are bare. And you're like, where's the schedule? So we want, again, everybody to be made aware of the things that they need for their classes, and then how to get those things. And then to also be able to have, when we, back in the old days when we had more money, we had a lot more program specialists. And I think the really great thing about that at that time was that they weren't just a program specialist. Back in those days, we had 4 different areas in Broward schools. And so if I was in, say, South area, and I'll use Cheryl Levy, for example. She's retired, long time retired. But Cheryl would have so many schools on her caseload, and it wasn't so much that she couldn't breathe. And Cheryl would oftentimes just show up at one of her schools and say, how's things going? What do you guys need? How can I help? Is there anything I can do for you? And it built relationships with the schools, so that the schools didn't feel like, oh, Cheryl's here. She's going to come over here and tell me what I'm doing wrong and all that. It was really about how they could help. And I think that made a huge difference. And I know some ESE specialists have said to me how they loved that, being able to have that, somebody that was really in their corner. So it would be awesome if we can kind of get back to that. That was really good. If you guys want to flip through the pages that come after that, what it is it's kind of broken down into some of the things that I just went over into more specific. So if you look at the top part, some of the things that, some things are completed on the top, but some things are those things that are just really never truly going to be completed, because it's things that are always going to change based upon the number of students, the type of students, if it's a new teacher. The new teacher, of course, you've got to give more training, you've got to do whatever it is that you need to do. So there are a lot of different factors that come into play with the completed or ongoing. And then the things on the bottom there are the partially completed. And I don't know, Kelly, you don't want me to go through all these, do you?
I mean, if anybody feels the need.
Yeah, why don't you guys just take a minute and flip through there?
And does everybody know what a program specialist is? Because can you just tell them what a program specialist is? Some people might not be.
Well, it's kind of like what I mean, I would like it to be like what I just said.
Right.
It's like support, like right now, we don't have 4 areas anymore. It's all district. So where we used to have district and then the 4, we got the district and the schools. So there's 5 supervisors or 6? 5?
It's actually 5 curriculum.
Okay. So so we're sort of broken up into 5 different areas, although we don't call them that. And then so you've got the supervisor, and then under the supervisor are program specialists. And the program specialist will support the school in all sorts of different things. Like if I like this afternoon, I was on the phone with one of them because I had a concern for a parent that was struggling with something, and most of the time it's communication. When I get called into an IEP meeting, it's usually not about the IEP so much. It's about miscommunication or lack of communication between the school and the parents. And sometimes the cause of that sways more to one side or the other. But I find that if there's good communication, I tell the parent, I really don't need to be here. Because if you guys are all communicating with your schools in an effective way, it's worth its weight in gold. But program specialist is somebody that if you feel like you're getting nowhere with your school, you can certainly call the program specialist that's assigned to your school. I encourage you, though, to first speak with your teacher if you have concern, then speak with your administrator. Well, no, then talk to your ESE specialist. If you don't think you're getting anywhere with your ESE specialist, you could talk to the administrator, who would be your principal, your assistant principal. And if it's a volatile kind of situation or there's a lack of trust there, you can just call the district office, the EC office, and they will tell you who the program specialist is assigned to your school. I think they're all pretty good. And they'll be able to guide you through, give you some of the answers. They can be your middle person to kind of go to the school and say, okay, this is what mom's telling me. What's going on here? They can help with training the staff. They can help if the school needs a different curriculum because your child year after year, is not making the progress that they should academically and something else needs to be considered. They can help out with that. If your child's struggling with behaviors and maybe there's some behavior support that needs to be called in, program specialists can assist that. So they wear many hats. And if they're a good person to know in case you needed to have a conversation with them. Anybody see anything on there that you have a question about?
I'll just ask about charter schools and how this struggle doesn't apply to them and how much you looked at that relationship here.
We haven't really looked much at charter schools as a separate entity because they are public school. So, they're required by law to provide, although I will tell you, I generally don't have anything good to say about charter schools. They make it very difficult. They make you know your rights, unfortunately. They really, my experience is that you can get services, you can get supports, you can get, what you get out of a public school system, at a charter school, but generally, no, certainly not always, but generally, you gotta know your stuff.
Okay, yes, and even when you know your stuff, it's still a fight.
Oh, there's a fight.
I think that the district's understanding of that relationship too needs to, charter school parents need that help from the district to not just be put back to the governing board, but for the district to know that parents have.
Now, you guys have brought that up as the ESE advisory, right?
About,
With I thought that, because I don't attend very many of these because my son is out. But I could swear the last time I was here, you guys were talking about charter schools then too, that evening.
I don't think so.
So maybe we need to address charter schools.
Well, there's a designated program specialist that is that person for the charter school. It's a tough nut to crack because they think that they're private schools. And so I oftentimes, when I go to one, I have to remind them that you're not a private school. And, you know, IDA falls on you too. And, but it, yeah, because frankly, I think they would love y'all to leave. So if they can, you know, I mean, I've sat there where they'll go, oh, we love him. You know, we would keep him. He's so awesome. But really, can I quit? No, but that school down the street. Get your back. So they do that. So if you're a parent who really just wants something for your kid and they say it like that, you're like, oh, yeah, I need to go to that school because you guys love him, but okay, I'll go. And that's so they usually, it's like reinforcing a child's bad behavior, because when you go, they get what they wanted. So there's not enough parents like yourself that are willing to hang out and fight with that system. And that's your reality, because if more parents in that system said, no, you guys are going to do your job, then you probably wouldn't be sitting here and have these kind of concerns. But that's how they kind of sell that. And one of the largest ones, if not the largest one in the state, Academica, they're notorious for that. They're very strong in Miami, and Miami parents are different than Broward parents, and they are. It's a very It's a very different type of culture, and they're much more in Miami. They're much more easy to fall into that. We love your son, bud, and they're like, okay, well, you love him. That's what's important. So we'll leave now. And so it's unfortunately, it's you have to look at that kind of thing just like you would with any human behavior. And if you give them what they want, their behavior is reinforced, and then they continue to think that they're going to do what they want. So, yeah, Ivan.
So thank you, Steve, for your hard work. This is certainly not an easy task to be the person in charge of this task force. I think it took a lot of hours of your life to dedicate. So I thank you, and the advisory certainly should thank you for your efforts. That's first of all, and we appreciate that. But I have a question as far as the report and the findings and summary. In that there were, I think, 110 items that were brought up through the Evergreen report. I didn't count the number here. That was like I'm counting right now. But what happened to the remaining items that may not have been, due to time constraint or for whatever reason, not addressed?
Oh no, they're still going to be on the list. It's just that what we did is we created kind of like a priority.
Okay.
So we kind of hit the bigger ticket items
Right.
that were going to cost us more money on the front end, just because we needed to.
So is the task force going to continue, or is it?
Yeah, well, Mr. Runcie, he said at the Tuesday, at the Tuesday workshop, he said it will be ongoing.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
So yeah.
One other thing. You mentioned about teachers getting equipment, our ESE teachers, our regular ed teachers as well. Miami-Dade has a program, it's been aired on the news, where they're using corporate sponsorships and donations, and they're providing their teachers with anything and everything that they need for their classrooms. All you have to be a teacher, and you're able to go and pick up all kinds of equipment for their classrooms. And I wondered, what our model is, whether we have, I know Pete State does contribute a great deal, both on the school level and across the board district, as far as providing materials to teachers. But possibly teachers either don't have the time, or they're embarrassed, or they don't know about it. I'm not sure. But perhaps we need to do a better job of both informing the teachers of what opportunities they have to receive proper materials for their classroom.
Well, there are many sponsorships. Right. Scholarships. I talk to teachers all the time where they'll tell me they applied for a grant. They went after a grant, from the private sector, and they got a grant and it paid for their smart board, or, so there are creative teachers that go after that and they look for it. But we wanted to be able to have teachers have the information on the budget, because not everybody's going to be that go-getter, and we don't feel that one should not get just because of maybe their own personal situation. because there's teachers who have their own children with disabilities at home. And, multiple children, they're trying to make ends meet. It could be any, so we wanted to at least have the teachers know, because they don't even know about the money in the budget that's allocated for classroom materials and supplies. So we wanted to have them know that so that they at least are informed and can go to their administrator and say, okay, I understand that, so, I haven't had a colored printer, access to a colored printer in 2 years, which is not, I've heard it a couple of times. And these are teachers who are making visuals. So some things are very important. Anything else? I'm going to go over what I had emailed the board too. So, but.
Thanks, Kelly. So my question for you was related to the top 5. All of it takes budget. So has there been any conversation about how they're going to allocate budget to support these things? Has that been figured out?
They just had, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the budget conferences where the curriculum supervisors, right, they attended those. Right.
And we even had our department budget conferences, but I think there's another level of budget conferences.
But those are still coming. Those are next week?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when. Is it next week?
The thing is that when Mr. Runcie had asked me to chair this, and when I met with him about it, I said to him, I'm not going to chair a committee if we have no money. Because we don't need to sit around and talk about the problems. We know what the problems are. There's no point to that. And so he said, no. You just go through, the report and do basically what we're doing. And the money it's his issue. It's our issue to advocate for what we feel that students need based on reports from the report, the Evergreen report. I can't, I'm not a budget analyst. I'm not going to sit with him and go over his budget and say, oh, you need to move this over here. And, it is an issue, because to educate children with disabilities well requires a lot of money. But that's what they're required to do.
So sorry, Kelly, as part of this, will then there be kind of accountability back to it? So we put forth these things.
Well, they've already put money into it. That's how they're paying the additional program specialists, the additional speech pathologists.
So it won't fall through the cracks because of a budget issue.
Right. We're just not monitoring the dollars.
Right.
But we're monitoring, when I get a list of, for instance, I had asked for a list of, as of the moment, a couple weeks ago, on the speech pathologists and the ratios. What were we looking at? Were we better than last year, or where were we sitting?
Right.
I'm looking at the numbers, the ratios. How many students do they have? And it's better.
Okay.
I'm not asking them where they got the money from,
Right.
or how much it cost, and because that's full-time job money.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I would not want that job at all. But more to say, it would be hard to hear that we've come up with all these things and yes, we want to do it, but we don't have the money to do it.
Well, that's what I said to him.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting down on taking time if that's going to be the response.
Right.
So, and he assured me that it wouldn't be. And it was interesting because, and this will kind of take me into my next part here,
Sure.
that on Monday, Mr. Gold, who is our chief academic officer, and he's not ESE, but I think he's going to be really good for ESE. He's really, he's very strong, and he seems very dedicated to children with special needs. And he reminded me at the meeting on Monday that we are not talking about the budget tomorrow. We're going to talk about the budget at the board meeting. Well, 3 school board members brought up the budget. So they're aware. So I was biting my tongue, it's the budget. But 3 of them brought it up. So they recognize it. And so that was good to see, because it is. And so it was good and very apropos that meeting before the board was when it was, as they now go into discussions for the coming year about the budget. And that's why too, I encourage you guys to contact your school board members, because as they each of them went around, like I said, you can watch it online if you'd like. As they went around, if not everyone, almost every one of them said, oh, I had a parent call me, and then they would jump into the issue that they wanted to talk about. So it's important. They remember this stuff when you talk to them. So I'm just gonna, real quick on some of my feedback to the board members that I provided to them, and just so that you guys know what each of them are kind of concerned about. So Ms. Good brought up the middle school issue. And again, she said it's because she's getting these calls. So that kind of goes back to when I emailed her, I kind of explained to her why we have these middle school issues, why we have, it's interesting because even the girl who is the chair or president of the Broward Teachers Union, I had met with her about a year ago. And as hard as it is for as a parent to hear, what the concerns are that she brought forth is that her teachers are going to her because they're getting hurt. There's some, some of our kids are kind of tough. And kids are getting to middle school, say it's the kid who's in an emotional behavior program in 5th grade and he's in regular ed in 6th grade. All those, that inability to self-regulate is still there. It didn't disappear because he went to a more stressful environment. And so, her thing was, my teachers are getting hurt. And so she had brought that up. And so Ms. Good, that is something that she's been hearing as well, is that what are we doing? We put these kids in middle school, they don't have enough supports, what's going on? And so I let her know that middle school almost consumed all of our meetings the first year of the task force. We talked a lot about it. And we've probably close to doubled in support facilitation, where when we started, you might have had 1 in the middle school. There's some middle schools who have 4. I think there's 1 that has 5. So we really want that to be based upon not just a caseload, a ratio, but we also want it dependent upon the nature of the students. Because, you guys know, you can have a classroom of 20 model students and that 1 adult, you're good to go. But if you have, out of that 20, you have 3 kids with some significant behavior challenges, you're going to need probably 3 adults in that room. So if you have 20 students. So we want it, so that's something that we're advocating for and moving forward on the support facilitation model. And what we used to have was something that was called VE, which was where kids who were still on standards could have a smaller classroom size in middle school. And they're not many, but every once in a while I'll come across one where there's a middle school whose principal has found that very important. And it's coded as a gen ed class because the teacher is gen ed certified. But when you walk in the room and you see 10, 12 students, it looks kind of like an ESE class, but yet it's not, because it doesn't have 25 students, which is your general middle school classroom. So we'll be talking some more about that coming into next year. Ms. Korn, let's see. She brought up a lot about the support facilitator ratios. Kind of piggybacked on Ms. Good. And the task force did ask for the ratio. We were, a little grandiose, but that's okay. I always say, you don't ask, you don't get. So we would like to see a ratio of support facilitators the same as class size reduction. That's 1 for 25 students. So that was what we had put on as what we wanted. And of course, at that time it was like 1 to 120 something. Let's see. Okay. Ms. Bartleman talked about assistive technology, which we talked a lot about the day before. We used to have, do you guys know what assistive technology specialist is? Okay. We had 8, and then we went down to 5. And I think they're fabulous. I think the ones that we have, I think we're very fortunate to have the ones we have, because they're pretty good. And they used to be on, the people in the school system, they are employed on a calendar, and they have different calendars. And so they used to be on what was called the 216-day calendar, which meant they got paid to work 216 days a year. And then it got bumped down to 196, which is students. So it doesn't give them that week before school starts to make sure that your kid's technology is in their school, that the teachers are trained on it. People know what to do with it when your kid arrives on the first day. So we talked the prior meeting about having assistive technology contacts, one on each school campus. And so that person could assist, especially with when because there's glitches sometimes in ordering, and we ordered it, did we get it, is it broken, where does it have to go, so that kind of stuff. And so by having somebody on every school site, we would have somebody that would at least follow up on where is it, why isn't it here, so that a kid doesn't go for an extended amount of time without their voice sometimes. Because if you use that to communicate, and it's like, you don't get to talk for 3 months. So, so we wanted that, but I cautioned the committee, and it's only because I used to work for Broward schools, and I'm from the days of pre-technology, and my principal came to me and told me, you're going to be our technology, whatever it was called, technology support person or something. And I was like, I don't know anything about technology. And he said, yeah, but you know how to use a computer. It was like it was like those old mainframe computers. I'm really dating myself. But that's like what we had. And so he expected that I was going to not only know it, but I could go to a simple training and come back and train all the teachers, which is one thing. But now we're talking about technology specialists that are going to help kids with disabling conditions communicate, get their learning, how they're going to express themselves, which requires somebody that's a lot more than a training. And so I think Ms. Bartleman brought up the fact that, we do not have enough of them, and what are we going to do? And so that was something that we talked about the day before. So we would certainly like to see, we'd like to see it go back to the 8 and go back to the 216-day calendar for them. Ms. Bartleman also brought up students withdrawing from school before they either graduate or exit out. Your students with disabilities, they get to stay in the school system if the student and the parents care to until the year they turn 22. And now this year we're going to have something different because we have something called deferment, which is take too long to go into it all, but it's like even for students who would have graduated with standard diploma before, can still continue to receive services through the school system if they defer their graduation. So she kind of brought that up. The members talked about that a little bit. Ms. Rupert, she talked about behavior and the need for behavior techs, and how the behavior, is impacting classrooms and people being on workman's comp, and because they're not adequately trained and that whole thing. So in my response to her, I let her know about what we used to have, where we had teachers of behavioral support. Every middle school had a teacher of behavior support that was assigned to that zone. So the middle school, the elementary schools that fed into it, you had teacher of behavioral support, and then there were also there were so many layers of behavior support that we just don't have right now. And we advocated last year for more behavior checks, and so we increased, but behavior is a huge issue in our school system, and it can. A kid who's having a challenge can consume a classroom, and then not only that student isn't getting what they need and learning, but neither are the others. So we really need to work very hard on reinstituting some of those things that we had when it comes to behavior support. Ms. Brinkworth, it was interesting. Ms. Brinkworth said that what we need to have an advocate on the school sites for the students. So my response to her was, that's really what an ESE specialist should be. That should be your go-to person. That should be your person where you get the support that you need, that you can go to when you have a concern, that you can get some education by, because I think we have like 75 new ones this year. So we have 75 that are on their own learning curve. But that should be your person. And she also brought up the assistive technology, so she also had the same kind of concern. Oh, she also said, she asked a question about this was kind of interesting. She asked a question about who's watching and making sure that IEPs are being implemented? I was like, oh, that was a loaded question. So that bit of a conversation came after that one. So that is something that a board member brought up. And again, she brought that up because she's hearing it from a family. Miss Friedman, and a couple of the others too, but her especially talked about RTI and the interventions and providing those interventions and not having to wait, do RTI before you evaluate, and that whole thing with the RTI process and making sure that teachers are really looking at students very early on instead of waiting for them to fall between the cracks, but catching them earlier rather than later. Because there are signs that children very young show before it gets big, bad, and ugly. So that was her. Ms. Murray, and it was, as you go around, of course, the comments got less and less because, the other ones had kind of already covered a lot. Ms. Murray said she felt like our system was a slow-moving wheel. That's what she called it. So I told her I thought that was kind of interesting, and I definitely agreed with her. And then, she said, it sounds like we need to have more ESE support. Again, we're back to the budget. And, I told her in my response was that we're dealing with more students because we have less overall students because of charter systems, because of private schools. So the overall, not ESE, overall children has decreased, but ESE continues to increase. So we have more students with less staff. Ms. Levinson, she talked about, she referred back to the Evergreen report and funding. She talked about the funding and how it's important to provide the funding. So again, I was glad to hear the board actually bringing up the money issues. She talked about, resources being an enormous concern. Everything was kind of budget. And then the chair, Ms. Osgood, she brought up, which Mr. Gold had kind of started the whole thing with, and which, was brought up the day before, in that, well, let me just say that Mr. Gold on Monday started our meeting off by saying that our students are part of all students. They're part of all kids, and shouldn't be considered that they're separate, that they're unequal, that they're all part of our very large school system. And I was having a conversation this afternoon with one of the program specialists, and I said it's interesting that, because my son's 21, and as long as I've been involved, I've never heard somebody from out of ESE saying some of the things that he says. So that it is refreshing. And he said, what I've been screaming for years, that students shouldn't be considered as ESE students, or students that we don't use their name first, but that they are general education students first, with services based upon their unique needs, which is what the law requires. And so we talked about that, and then as he was doing that, I threw in that it's a cultural shift. We have to make a cultural shift. And anytime there's a cultural shift, it's very difficult and very time consuming for it to happen. But the chair, she went back to that culture and said that, she was going to try to move the board in that direction to recognize that it is a cultural shift to consider all of our students as just any other student, but that our students have needs that go beyond, that require some attention and services. The one other thing that I brought up with them, because I think the chair brought it up, I'm not sure, but transportation. And we still do we have 33 students on buses for 90 minutes or more. So it's not as bad as it has been in the past. So it's getting better, but it's still, a concern. So if anybody comes to you with transportation issues, I would love to know them. We were able to get 2 years ago, I think it was, an ESE specialist funded in transportation. And I think that's made a huge difference. I know that first year that rolled out, one of my parents, Mr. Runcie, was on the bus the first day of school with her kid. And she was like floored. And she's like, the bus pulled up and the superintendent's on his bus. So she was all excited. And but that was because the year before there were so many issues and so much going on. So yeah, if you guys have anything related to transportation, please let Kelly know. Because I'm just kind of like, when it comes to transportation, I bring up the issues that I hear, but I'll tell you, I'm not hearing a lot right now. So if it is an issue, please let her know and we'll be glad to bring it up. Is there anything else? Any other questions? You guys, if you have anything, I'm really super easy to find. If you Google my name, you'll see contact information on the web for me. You can email me, call me, if there's something that comes up that you think that, you also have a copy of the lengthier report, this one. So if there's anything on there that you don't like, you don't understand, you want things to be better, we can certainly add it and address it. Yeah.
I'm not sure if we discussed this, but for the speech, SLPs, for the fair that they had the other day, I saw that they were, asking for SLPs. But what I noticed is that they were asking for masters. And I wondered, why, because you have SLPs that have a lot of experience, but might not have a master's. And because there's an impending need. I was just wondering what,
because it's the job description, right? They have to have masters. And the thing is this though, I know, because I had another parent say the same thing to me, but I want you to think about it this way, as a parent. You have a speech therapist that has her bachelor's. And the school down the street, she's got her master's. You're not liking yours too much. They have one that has a master's. So I know, because I thought about it too, but then I thought, because I envision that as becoming an issue. So I don't know what the answer is to that. That's not something that's being considered, is it? Yeah. So I hate to open that can of worms. I would rather actively get out there and try to find some. And I can tell you that just personally, I have, my son is dating somebody who's in the master's program to be a speech pathologist. And she goes to Nova. And one of her professors said that might not be a great idea to go into the field because there's not much call for them. So she brought that up. We were having dinner. I'm like, what? You ready? When you're ready, you tell me. I will get a job for you in 5 minutes. So maybe because I said to her, maybe they were referring to like the private sector. So it might be a little challenging in there because there's money to be made. So it's probably very challenging. But school system, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I don't even need this, but one thing you said was that when you were talking about the board comments about an advocate on campus for our ESE students, and as I listened to the whole presentation and I read through both of these packets, I feel that one of the things that was truly missing from everything tonight was the relationship with the school counselor. The school counselor is an advocate for every student on campus. And I think that work needs to be done, especially at the high school level, to get the ESE specialist and the guidance counselor maybe more connected with each other. And it is in some schools. I know I'm a school counselor and I sit with every single ESE student. And I think that parents should be encouraged by the ESE specialist to see the counselor because we have other information. I hear a lot of ESE specialists tell me that they're not well versed in all the high school testing requirements, every grade is different, high school graduation requirements, how to get into college, special, services that are available to students beyond high school. And school counselors have that information and they're more than willing to share. But I just feel like sometimes there's a disconnect between certain ESE specialists and your guidance counselors. And I think that's a shame because there is another advocate on campus for these students.
Well, and I was gonna ask you before you got into it, which kind of counselor you're talking about, because there's like the family counselors and the guidance counselor. Well, I have to tell you, I see it as being dead-end street both ways sometimes, because I see some guidance counselors who's like, you go ask ESE, you get ESE, you go down and you ask her. And then I'll see it the other way as well, where the ESE specialist will say, I don't know anything about that. The course decisions, you have to go talk to guidance. And I've seen a parents be bounced back and forth. I don't know, I just do ESE. I don't know, so I totally agree with you that there should be a better marriage between those two. And sadly, I think I would really say that I see more of the guidance counselors who say, I don't know ESE. I don't want to know ESE. So.
But I'll tell you, when I share with my parents that I have a son with an IEP, it's a whole different relationship.
I know.
The trust is there,
Right.
they understand the empathy, and that should be, again, if we could get that to fit
Right.
with it, and I think it comes at your level. Because if you get together with the district guidance people and say, hey, we need to work together and and some schools too, I'm sure. And that's the high school. I know sometimes the, elementary school too, they're together, but it needs to be more together and more jealous.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I'm kind of hoping with Mr. Gold kind of looking at students, guiding the district and looking at students that way. The whole student, the whole campus, all the people that will get there. The other person for high schools that I have been screaming about for a couple of years is the BRACE counselors. Because those are the people that are going to help your kids move on to post-secondary education if you've got that kid. And so many times they're like, I don't know, go talk to ESE. I don't know.
I was just having this conversation with Mary Claire today at the airport, but I was just saying how it's not just guidance and even ESE specialists, then you've got the psychologist, then you've got the teacher. It's like everybody's got their own piece, but not everybody.
But I think it's like how Mr. Gold kind of described it last week. If we're looking at every student is everybody's student.
The culture shift is happening,
Yeah.
but it's gonna take time, but we have to persist to make sure that that was a really good point.
One of the things that I would really like to see happen on our school campuses is a utilization of the ESE representative on the SAC committees. I'd really like for that person to be more than just a name on a piece of paper. And I think that would be a really huge benefit in parent engagement for our principals and our SAC chairs to get to know that person and use them as a liaison with the other parents. And that's kind of an area of, I think, significant growth that we can do as a district is really nudging our principals to reach out to that ESE representative and let them be their advocate that we're talking about, along with the counselor, along with the ESE specialist, and our support facilitators. I think our support facilitators do the heaviest lifting.
Yeah. Well, and I was the SAC co-chair for 13 years. I sat on SAC for 13 years. And when I would go to, again, had areas, I would go to the South area meetings, 2 Fridays of every month for 13 years. But I learned a lot there, so I encourage you to go to those meetings. But the feedback that we would get is that they were trying. But there are some schools, as you know, where it is so difficult to get parents to come out and volunteer. And it's very sad because I had a co-chair, and we were co-chairs all 13 years. And her kid is in Stetson now. He's that kind of kid, had his act together from when he was 5. And typical, no issues. I would be like, awesome. She's got 4 boys, and they're all like awesome. And so it was a good partnership because she's very into like sports. She's a band mom, and then I could handle parts that I handle. So it was really great. And it was good because if I couldn't get to something, she could get. So if you guys are interested in that, you should, try to buddy up with a mom that is not from the disability community. It could really be a nice partnership.
As long as we have the school board's attention on the ESE issues, advocacy by us to the school board is a great idea, and everybody should be aware that they have at least 3 school board members, maybe 4. There's nothing wrong with contacting all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and like I said, if you go on, you'll hear them. If you watch the recording, almost everyone, if not everyone, said, a parent told me.
And that is an important point because I started out with my journey of advocating at my school. Then I went to the local, I did all those steps. Then I reached out to school board members. I was so nervous. I was like, how are they going to listen to me? And it turned into, look, now I'm talking to them all the time and they really are listening. If you come forward with a thoughtful demeanor and you have facts to present, they really want to hear it. And sometimes you know more than they know on most everything. So really trust your gut. I mean, honestly, when it comes to these things, you know better than they do and they need to hear.
If anybody in this room has ever gone to talk to a politician, they usually don't have any idea about your situation. They really don't, because they got people coming to them because they want a 4-way stop sign, from soup to nuts. And so you really have to go in there prepared to educate them first. And then you have to really spoon feed them. You have to tell them exactly what it is that you think is going to answer the problem.
And I'm glad you brought that up about the politician, because now we are coming into a new election.
That's
and
right.
We are going to have a new county commissioner here, and we are going to have a new state and a new governor.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really think you have to reach out to these people that are running and say, okay, what are you going to do for me? Because I have reached out to 2 people that are currently running that I could get no response from. I guarantee you they want my vote. Now, when I reach out to my next email, and I've done it for 2 years now, well, my next email to them is going to be, so where were you? I'm going to hear from them all of a sudden. And I plan on putting it out on my Facebook page that they didn't respond to me. And it was on the dyslexia issues. So, they wouldn't even call me back. I couldn't even get through to them. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, gets contact with him all the time. And I'm like, well, I don't know how you talk to him. He won't even call me back. So unless you're in their group and their club, but they're going to listen to you when they want your vote. And the other point I just wanted to make was the RTI comment. The SLD committee met and we came up with questions on the RTI issue. And we actually sent them to Abby and to a few others. So, they do, when she read that, she was reading it right from the notes that came from the SLD meeting.
Good.
So it was great.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Because we are like 5 minutes out, 1 here.
Question to Stacy. I don't know if it came out of your meeting or maybe staff can answer. Where are we now as far as training of parents? At one point, we used to have something like $60,000 allocated, then I think it dwindled down to $30,000. I don't know, I don't hear too much about the training of parents. I've always taken the attitude that an educated consumer is the best approach to IEPs and working with the school system and the schools doing IEPs. And if we have to change our way of trying to train parents, because the days of parents coming out to a training session is very difficult because.
Well, I have to tell you though, because they asked me to do an IEP training this year, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. There were so many people in that room that were standing along the wall.
Right. But there are other things besides IEP training.
Right. There's the calendar, right? You guys have the training calendar. So is there something on the training calendar that you don't think is on there?
It's not just the topics. I wonder about the turnout of parents to training, and I wonder if we're really reaching the greatest number of population out there. When you think about the number of ESE students we have and the number of ESE parents, we're not even touching 1% of the parents out there. So my feeling is we need to use technology. When you have ESE specialist meetings, they broadcast them. Specialists don't have to come to Holiday Inn like years ago or to a venue where everybody's together. They're able to not waste time in transportation and cost to get there. We need to, as a district, do trainings whereby we use our technology to reach out to parents, whether it's on websites or some form of medium that we can use so we can reduplicate and the parents go at their leisure and be able to get that module and search out that module and study from it instead of relying on a meeting once a year on the other side of town. It doesn't work anymore. And my feeling is you may have brought in because of who you are and how great you are in your teachings, but that's not the norm. The norm is poor turnout of parents coming, wasting time, energy, and money, and not really reaching the masses of parents.
Well, I wrote it down, but I think ESE advisory should also, you guys can put that, yeah, but like on your board report, I think that would be a good idea.
Thanks, Kelly. Yes, Stacy, you can answer this as well, but it's really going to be directed towards Mr. Moyer. Steve, Steve.
He's like, what?
You mentioned that, Steve, that we should definitely utilize our board members and that they may respond. And then I hear Nordine talking about, how to go about doing that. And I guess for me, I'd like to know what the best way is to do that. Because in my experience, I would reach out to the board members and I haven't had such good luck, for lack of a better word. But many times certain issues would arise, and not trying to get too personal, they would say that they really can't help in that particular area. So even though it might be systemic. So what would you suggest a parent to do in trying to sort of bridge that gap between school district and utilizing your
for your school board member who's Lori Levinson?
Yes.
I would scream and shout if she wouldn't take a meeting with them because she is your district representative. The Donna Corn and Robin Bartleman are at-large members. They might be able to dodge a meeting, but they should at least take a call and communicate with you. And then sometimes at some border areas where the district border is, even though you live in a particular district, the school may fall into yet another district. And a different member may take ownership of that school that your child is going to, which actually gives you 4 of 9 board members. So those people should all at least take a call, and your board member, in this case, Lori Rich Levinson, should take a meeting with you. And if she doesn't, I scream and shout because that's her job.
Any last burning questions, because it is a little past our 8 o'clock. Okay, last one.
And I didn't watch anything on TV, so I might have missed it, but was site-based management brought up? I mean, I feel like we always talk about that, but I'm not sure, is that just off the table? Is that
Oh, no,
gonna change?
and we
or-
talked about it the day before as well. I mean, Mr. Gold is like pretty. Let's
So
just say, I think
was
he's
there
very
anything
passionate
presented
about it.
about what we're
Well,
doing about
it's,
that?
they're all, they've heard from you guys, they've heard from families, they've heard from schools, they know it's an issue. So they, later that day, and I wasn't there and I didn't continue to watch, but you could take a look at it, they were talking about their organizational chart. Okay, Dr. Wanda? Okay, maybe watch the recording, because it did come up, and Dr. Wanza is another person that didn't have much to do with ESE, and now she does. So I think it's a good thing that we have a new executive director that hopefully won't be too jaded by an old way that was non-effective, and maybe with all these changes now and having a new executive director, maybe we can move forward. I mean, I see it changing. So hopefully the change will be good. I like the thinking as our children first, and not ESE kids or cluster kids or disabled kids or all that nonsense. So, okay? All right, thank you all. All right, now on to exciting business. We had on our agenda a review of psychological evaluation process, and that is a very in-depth topic. Given we had bad weather, given we have a new we're really following proper protocol for elections, we anticipated it taking longer. So I did reach out to Mary Claire and asked her if we could postpone that. So we will keep you aware. That will likely either be part of our June meeting or actually possibly even the beginning of the school year meeting. So we'll keep you posted on that. But without further ado, we are going to go into our 2016-2017 executive board elections, bearing in mind that as we talked about at our last meeting, our new bylaws for next year are actually up for approval, hopefully this summer, fingers crossed for everybody. So if that happens, these people would be kind of grandfathered in as part of that general council, if you will, or the advisory council, and additional members would be elected. So we are going to have our elections, and they'll be conducted by the chair of the nominating committee, who is Linda Adderley Olds, and I will let her get started. Like I said, we are going to did everybody sign in when they entered? Just confirming. If you are a voting member, Jackie has tally sheets that we're going to do. We're going to actually let each, I'll let Linda go through this, but each person who is running for an office will have an opportunity to share for 3 minutes anything that they want to communicate to the council before voting. And we will, of course, accept nominations from the floor. So I'll give Linda a second to gather her stuff and we'll get going.
Linda, where?
Let's go.
This meeting is now over. Thank you for calling.
Try again. All right.
I guess so. I see that happen. You just sitting there so.
I'm ready? No.
I was with my daughter Saturday at the, they go in Sam's, so you guys walk in. You're 2 or 3 rows away. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna scream at this guy across the street. He's like stalking. Yeah, you would expound on it. Yeah.
I can't read none of this stuff. Good thing, right? Wasn't one of those things.
You can just kind of make it work.
Because this is, you know, you need to go in there. Put time into it. So it's easy to tell.
It wasn't something you could do together, and I just make it work. That's funny. I noticed the glasses. Well, I saw you walking in, and I'm like, all right, they're either going to the glasses place or Steinway. So I took my daughter and Sam's, and then we went over to Whole Foods, and I was like, all right, I ducked in. You guys are gone. I noticed I've been wearing glasses for 15 years. I was used to this. Now they have this stuff on each end of the aisle. What's in that aisle is just hang from the middle. And I was this close to my mom, and at the end, she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Trying to read this aisle." And she's like, it's like one of those you don't know, you don't know. And you go check it out. Ooh, things have edges.
So actually, Wednesday, Tuesday,
Wake up call.
yeah, wake up call. So
Evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to conduct our elections via, can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to conduct our elections via roll call. My name is Linda Olds, and I'm the nomination chair of the nomination committee. And since that everyone's already signed in, that we could just go ahead with the first position. And the first position is that of chair for the ESE advisory. When I call your names, you can, well, actually, the nomination committee met, we met last month, and we presented the slate to the body. And the person that we nominated for chair last month as a committee was Alicia Walford. Okay? Alicia Walford. Let me know. Last month, there was no one who was nominated from the floor, so tonight I'd like to know if there's anyone who'd like to nominate themselves or another person for chairperson. Going once, going twice, so. Would you like to?
We don't even have to vote, right?
No.
I've done a lot of talking about my son in these meetings, but I think what's important for you guys to know about me in this meeting is where I've come in the last 5 years. So one of my favorite quotes is from Shirley Chisholm, and it's kind of inclusion, but it's an unusual thought. It's, if you don't get invited to the table, bring a folding chair and sit down. And that's what I do. I bring my folding chair and I go sit down. So I know it's nicer to be asked to the table, but I'm not waiting for the invitation. And 5 years ago, you know, I did SAC and SAC also from when Zach was in kindergarten. But I was in a particular PTA, and you could just count on the second Wednesday of the month, and we live in Lauderdale Lakes. I was reassigned in Coral Springs. I would have a half an hour bawling, crying ride home because there wasn't any collaboration, there wasn't any teamwork, and why was I banging my head against the wall? And I'm not that woman anymore. I'm not that woman anymore, and I was looking at it, my school wanted me to turn in my hours. I don't keep track of my hours, but I just went to my calendar, and this school year alone, documented, I had 65 meetings at over 150 hours, and I just developed relationships, and that's what I do, you know? And I will share with you, I often ask forgiveness rather than permission, and I'm just down to earth. I'm very down to earth. My son is a miracle if you've heard our stories, as all our children are. And I really appreciate that I've been nudged for this for quite a while. I do bring some experience as the Central Area Chair for the last 2 years. And, you know, it's your forum. Even with the new bylaws and having just 21 people, it's still your forum, and we're still going to express the voice of all of our children, because all is all.
Also at last month's meeting, we presented the vice chair that the nomination committee selected, and that was Dr. Esai Ng. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Yourself, Kelly Bush? Kelly Thomason?
I'd like to nominate Kelly Bush.
Kelly Bush. Okay. Any other nominations? Really once? Twice? So, you each have 3 minutes. Who's going to count up?
I can go.
Thanks, Kelly.
Do you want to go see it?
Each person has 3 minutes to present to you tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Dr. ESE Ain. I am a proud father of two beautiful girls. One is on the spectrum. The other suffers from a metabolic disorder along with ADHD. I've been a dedicated member of the ESE advisory for over 4 years. I've been an active member of my child's school's SAC committee as the ESE rep for over 4 years. And like many of you, I've been through the struggles of ensuring a free and appropriate education for my children. I've endured the downfalls of site-based management, and I've heard your stories and experiences in the Broward County schools. The only thing that's driven me more was hearing these stories, and it drove me more to make a difference in the ESE community. In this advisory, I know you want true representation of all students, all disabilities, and exceptionalities. That includes autism, Down syndrome, specific learning disabilities, and all other health impairments, whether minimal, moderate, or severe. In this advisory, I've done whatever it takes to make it a success, whether it be to fill in, to take minutes when there's a vacancy, whether it be to assist with technology to make sure that the advisory runs smoothly, whether it be to book rooms for executive board meetings, or even to chair the bylaws committee to revise our bylaws so that each and every parent and community stakeholder has a voice. You see, with me, there is no hidden agenda. With me, you have trust, integrity, a proven track record, and a drive to make a difference. As a professional in the medical field, my life is all about serving and helping others in any way possible. It would be an honor to serve you again as Vice Chair of the ESE Advisory Council. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. How you doing tonight? I want to start off by congratulating Kelly Thomason and the rest of the board, including ESE, of course, for doing an amazing job this year. You've pulled this community together and set this advisory council on a great path. You really have. I also applaud all of you who show up here every month so that you can make a difference. Your dedication makes a big impact in this community. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelly Bush. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters, 19 and 16, and my son with autism will be 11 on Friday. I started attending the ACE meetings about 8 years ago and have been actively involved ever since. I've just been reelected for the ACE chair position, and I'm very proud of all that we have accomplished. I graduated from Partners in Policymaking, served on a Family Autism Network board, participated in the district level DPI, the BPS Talkback, and I have attended countless conferences, workshops, and training sessions. This Saturday, I will be at the Rights Law training, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. Just like all of you, educating myself, working hard, and networking with other parents has been my therapy, and it's become my passion. I would like to be a member of this board to help nurture the relationships that have been formed with the administration and work together to make systematic improvements. I truly believe that it's forums like this that create the momentum for change. I want to stand together with you and put in the work to help all kids reach their full potential. My enthusiasm can get the best of me at times, and it can result in my coming across as too aggressive, but I'm working on that. It's only because this really truly is a great passion of mine. I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said and ask the questions that need to be answered. I'm ready for this, guys. I'm ready. My career allows me to make my own schedule, and I can dedicate the time needed to be an effective representative. I know the challenges we face, and I want to give everyone's voice the opportunity to be heard. The ESE department has come a long way this year, and we've seen some great things come out of the district. We've got a long way to go, but I'm excited about the direction that we're headed. We need to provide our teachers with the tools and support they need. We need better curriculum, proven methodologies, and more support facilitation across the board. And most importantly, we need to nurture a culture of acceptance for all. I will give this my all, and I hope that you will consider giving me that chance. Thank you.
Okay. When I call your name, I'd like to know.
You're not finished.
When I call your name, please let me know who you choose to be the next vice chair of the ESE advisory. And then, of course, you guys, check. Kelly Thomason,
Kelly Bush.
Jessica Krekel,
I'm over here. Dr. Ifeadi.
Jackie Luscombe,
Kelly Bush.
Dr. Isai Kelly Bush, Linda Ashley O, Dr. Isai Larry Friedman. That won't be a chance to make someone he's not there. Steve Moyer. Camille Plummer. Lisa Priest. Becky Schwartz. Alicia Walford. Nordine Weinberger.
Kelly Bush.
Mark Morgenstern. Ivan Barra. Bob Tadaro. Wendy Carroll. Melina Marcos. Great. Dan Thomason.
Kelly Bush.
Donna DeMarco. Natalie Adams.
Dr. Lisa.
Dr. Gayon Daniel. Brianna Roper. Let me call your name. Lloydie, that's what I put here. What's your name? Andrew.
Did you sign it?
Yeah, he's on my list.
Yeah, he signed
Did you sign it? Wait, we're gonna add his name to it. Sorry about that.
The list of authority members who are present is on that sheet.
Oh, so each, this is the list of already done. It should be on the same, shouldn't it? Andrew, would you mind spelling it last time? BOGGIANO. Perhaps you could do it on yours as well. Andrew. Borgiano. I'm always screwing up everybody's name, sorry. BOGGIANO. Doctor. There's somebody else? No. Did I call everyone on the list except for you? Yeah. came with a total of 16 votes, and Kelly Bush with a total of 8. Dr. Gaines? Okay. The next position that we presented last month was that of corresponding secretary. And the person that was nominated is Lisa Priest. Are there any other nominations from the floor?
I would like to nominate Linda O's as corresponding.
Why not? You seconded too. Okay, yes. Why not? Yes. Well, see, we're in the same boat here because neither of us prepared anything. Can you hear me? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Linda Oles. I've been coming to the advisory for about 5 years. And, I would like to say, I want you to vote for me. Why? I have been a very passionate person. Sometimes you don't have, I actually work and I volunteer in children's homes across the district with children that have tubes everywhere. And for me, that's a passion. I've always been working with children and their families, and even more so now on the advisory level. Many of you may come up to me or call me via Facebook and other people, and I happen to help them with their IEP concerns. I am the type of person that wears my emotion on my sleeve, and I take things sort of very personal, not only for children with special needs, but and their parents. Work collaboratively with district leaders. It hasn't always been easy for me because I'm working, as Kelly said, she's working on, my lips are getting dry and I'm nervous here. I'm working on trying to build those relationships with the district. It hasn't been very easy because coming into this advisory for me has been like a breath of fresh air. It has been one whereby it has been a tumultuous relationship, so to speak, but I'm repairing those trusts with the district, and I feel that I give balance to anyone on the advisory because I also have a child that is non-typical. He has a unique ability, and I also have a typical child. And beyond this, I feel that something that truly surprised me in the district was when I was invited to Dr. Osgood's talk back. I never thought that I would be one that they would want to collaborate with, but it shows me that things are getting better between me and the district. And not only that, I serve on the PTO at my school as well as the SAC committee. I'm very involved throughout the district and in the capacity of helping other parents with their children. And for me, if you vote for me, I would truly appreciate it, and I know that I can soar and I can just get better and better on hoping to bridge the gap between school, parents, and the district. Is that 3 minutes yet?
17 seconds left.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Priest, and I got involved with the Broward ESE advisory just this year, thanks to Kelly Thomerson. And I have 2 children. They're both ESE. My son Logan is 9, and my son Blake is 3. My son Blake is in the preschool program, and my son Logan actually has a few exceptionalities. So he's just awesome, and he's really inspired me to help others. He's really just changed me as a person, And I work as an advocate to help all children make meaningful progress and reach their full potential on a daily basis. And I'm truly passionate about it. And I think my passion is what's really delivering the results. And I have been through probably the worst of the worst with my oldest son. And I can tell you that it can change. If you persevere, if you work through it, it can change. And I had a terrible situation that is now like the best situation. And I've got in programming into his school and other schools that haven't had some of these programs for children that, you know, need to learn how to read. So I've been very successful in that way. And I would just like to continue by being on the Broward ESE advisory to help children, to advocate for them, to be able to answer any questions that parents might have. And that's it.
And partner with the district.
Okay, with that said, when I call your name, just let me know who you'd like to vote for. Kelly Thomason,
Lisa Priest.
Jessica Greco,
Lisa Priest.
Jackie Loscombe,
Lisa.
Dr. Esai, Hank,
Linda Holmes.
Kelly Bush, Linda Adderley Olds,
Linda.
Larry Friedman's not here. Steve Moyer, Camille Plummer, Lisa Priest, Becky Schwartz. Who's she mean? Becky Schwartz. Alicia Walford. Nordine Weinberger. Mark Morgenstern. Ivan Barat. Bob Todaro. Wendy Carroll. Molina Marco. Okay. Dan Thomason.
Lisa Priest.
Donna DeMarco. Natalie Adams.
Linda.
Dr. Gayon Daniel. Rihanna Roper. Andrew Borgiano. That's his name. Okay. This is probably enough. Congratulations. Wait. Land scale from 15 votes for Lisa Priest, 8 for Linda. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, the next position that we presented last month was for recording secretary, and the person that was nominated by the nomination committee is Jackie Loscombe.
Come up, Jackie.
I practice. I practice quite a bit. Are there any nominations from the floor? No? Thanks, like Jackie.
Thank you very much. The job nobody else wants to do, that's a nice one to get. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Jackie Loscombe. I'm a mum of 2. I have 2 boys, aged 8 and 6. One has autism. I actually am pleased to, I think I'm in a minority here, but I go to a charter school, and charter schools have got a lot of work to do. I think what Stacey said earlier was quite spot on. They think that private schools, they're a law unto themselves. I've suffered greatly from that, and if I tell you why, I'm not gonna hold it together, so I won't. But I'm happy that the district, I feel the district are moving on a lot of things related to ESE, and I see that they're good advocates along with all of us, so I'm just happy to be part of that body. Thank you.
Now we're on to our final election. And last month, we presented, the nomination committee presented 3 people for the slate. And the first one was Bart Tudero. Second, and this is all for executive board members. Bart Tudero, Dr. Gayon Daniels, Linda Adderley-Olds. And from the floor, nominations were also taken. And that was for Kelly Bush, Jessica Kreco, and Becky Schwartz. Are there any, would you guys mind coming to the front for 3? Natalie Adams. In order?
So you can vote, Linda. Tell them that they can vote for either one.
Yes, well, when I do call your name, remember, you can vote for either, you have to vote for 3 people. Okay? So how many people are voting? I think we do it in all this, okay? Oh. Yes, Natalie Adams is, oh, you need to vote. Do you accept it? Oh, sorry. Are there any other nominations? It's up there. I can't see it, but.
Yeah, I can't either.
Oh, I see. For the records, Natalie Adams, Bob Tagaro, Dr. Gayon Daniel, Becky Schwartz, Kelly Bush, and Jessica Kreco, and of course, Linda. Okay? So when I call your name, if you can give me 3 people, and of course you check it out, that you'd like to vote for.
You may choose to vote for either 1, 2, or 3. It's up to you. That is the protocol. You can, or you can pass.
I mean, you can pass as well, so everyone.
I'm sorry. Yes, Linda's on the list.
Linda's on the list.
Okay.
Do they want
to there? Yes, I'm going in order. Oh, man.
Hi, I'm Bob Federo. This year, I've been with ESE advisory for 3 years. My first 2 years was correspondence secretary. This year, executive one. And if I get nominated next year, gonna be 4 years. And those that know me, you see my work. So I don't have to go for it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gayon Daniel. I came here as a parent with an issue, and I'm still here. I think that I speak to not only, I came here to advocate for my child, but now I find that I'm advocating for so much more. Sometimes parents are glad to see me, and sometimes they look at me like I have, 3 eyes, because I want to just really share with them that, this is here, the advisory is here. They don't only, if they can't come to meetings, they can call in. And if I don't know something, I'm always directing them to someone. And that's what it's really all about. We're really supposed to be able to really be there to help, to advocate for others. If you change one or you help one person, that person helps another person, and then that's a domino effect. I have 2 children. Both are on the have autistic, although they don't know it, because we don't tell them that. We tell them that they're Denali first or Dorinda first. And I have our niece who's staying with us as well, and she's hasn't been diagnosed, but she's special needs also. So we knew that in taking her. She's in high school. So I'm getting the whole of the spectrum of it as well. So I'm just excited to be here. Whether or not I get selected as a board member, I'm still going to do what I do, you know. So I'm just excited to be there. But I think being a board member would be able to help me to elevate the issues that I'm hearing from parents, bringing it up to, you know, the district and bringing it up to others. And just some of the other things, my husband and I have a business, a finance business. I'm the staff chair at school, and I'm on the PTA. So, you know, I wear some different hats, but I'm just excited to be here and excited just to be considered for this. Thank you.
Everyone's in order. So you come next to me. Okay, here we go again. You know, one of the things I feel very uncomfortable with is always talking in front of people. But it's something that I know that I have to get out of. I guess this is a good playing field for me. But I also want to let you know that, you know, I am very compassionate for the needs of parents and their children. And if you elect me, I don't think that you will be disappointed. I feel that there has to be a lot of people that can be an asset, and I feel that I can definitely do that. I feel that I speak out on all issues other than just my own. It's not just about me. When I'm advocating for my child or learning to advocate for him, I know about bringing a particular program into the school that will best work for him. I know that it's a plethora of children are going to be impacted by just that. I'm very good at reinforcing, and I do that daily with my son, and I've seen him grow. I've seen my relationship that was very toxic at one point with the administration of my school, and now my headmaster's leaving, and I'm hurting, really. I mean, I think the relationship has flourished, and to me that speaks volumes, because I never thought that I would actually be here to tell you that. I mean, this was a man that I thought loathed me and I loathed him, but I can't say that today, and I know that it's because I'm taking those tiny steps to do what is right, to collaborate and do what's best for not only my child, but all. And I don't just, when I look at each child in that school, ESE children, by the way, although they're typical that I'm focused on as well, they're my kids. Their issues are mine. And I take it personally when their needs are not met. So again, I hope that you would elect me, vote for me. And if not, trust me, Linda will always be around. This is like a breath of fresh air for me. This is like, what do you call it? Life support, like ACE. ACE is like life support for me. But I want to thank you for even nominating me, and the opportunity is just awesome. Thanks.
I'm not going to take a lot of your time because you guys have already heard from me, but I do want to just say that I would like to serve in whatever capacity that I can on this board. I am the chair of ACE, and therefore every month I do meet with a lot of parents that come to our meetings. We do communicate a lot and have roundtable discussions about the issues. I do want to advocate for all children, not only children with autism. I want to make that clear. But I do find that being the chair of ACE and having that opportunity to speak with parents in a small forum like we have really brings a lot of issues to light. And so I think that would be a very good asset for the board to have, for me to serve on the board and do what I can to speak for the parents that I'm hearing from and bring those issues to light.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Kreco, and many of you may know me as our current corresponding secretary. I'm the person that sends out the endless amounts of emails to you. I have been serving at the council board member for the last year. In fact, this is my first year with the advisory council, and I have learned a ton. So I've truly appreciated the opportunity to meet with you all and learn from you. I am glad to be nominated as a board member. Truly, my other commitments full-time job and such, make it hard to continue on in the corresponding secretary capacity. So I give credit to Lisa for stepping up. She's got certainly some work cut out in front of her. But really, I am would be delighted to serve in any capacity. And honestly, you will be well served by any of the members that are standing next to me. Truly amazing women and certainly advocates in their own right. I have a special needs son, Scotty, and he is the passion behind why I am here. And I obviously advocate for him. He is certainly front of mind for me, but if you're looking for a level head, I'm probably the opposite of many of the folks up here where I don't really wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm sort of, reserved and quiet and a listener, but I definitely take the information, I digest it, and then I bring it back to the right people at the right time in the right way. So if you're looking for someone to advocate on your behalf, I'd be happy to serve in that capacity. And thanks so much for this past year and for considering me for this position.
Hi, I'm Becky Schwartz, aka Fox Other Side or Twin or whatever. I have 6 children. My youngest has Down syndrome. His name is Noah. I've been on the committee now for a year. I just graduated Partners in Policy Making. I'm the Vice President of the ESE Advisory for Down Syndrome. Vice President for Broward Gold Coast Down Syndrome Organization. I'm the parent representative for my child's SAC committee. And I also serve as a member on the FCDC Self-Advocacy Council. And that's me.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Natalie Adams. I have a daughter with autism. She's 11 years old now. The first time I think I attended this meeting, she was 3. And I remember at that time, we were a couple of parents around hanging on to each other and be like, okay, now it's time to attack this war, which is the ESE war. And pretty much since then, I've been involved a lot. I was the ESE advisory chair here a couple of years ago. But even before this, I was corresponding secretary, I was on the board. Even that before I attended the meeting for a couple of years, 2-3 years, just to attend and get the information that all of us and all of you needs to get. As I was the ESE advisory chair, I learned a lot from a lot of people. We accomplished quite a bit here. We actually, there was the field trip, there was issues on field trips with her intervention. A lot of our kids now can attend and Hall actually offered to go on field trip at the same time than everybody. Also inclusion, this ESE advisory was really championing the inclusion, and a reverse model was implemented in many schools. And for what I heard, I think the superintendent actually said that next year they would pretty much be in all the schools. So it was a good thing. So when the ESE advisory really get together and stand with each other, all the parents, we really can accomplish a lot. And I think that in all those years, I'm not talking about the years I was chair, but the last 6 or 7 years, I think we have done quite a bit. But there is a lot more to do. There is a lot more to do. I think parents need to, one thing, have access to tutoring without having to pay $50 an hour. I think there's a program that should be included for this. I think we need to keep on going, because like a school, what I heard today when they say the wheel turns slow, it surely does turn slow. It's tough to turn when you walk in at 3 years old, and when you walk out in high school, you don't even have made a one turn yet. So I think we need strong parents ready to, and anyone that knows me, I don't have to pretty much describe this. I don't hold back from that. You get it the way it is. There's no hold back. And there's politics that needs to be there, but there's also no hold back, because we are a different community, and we need to stand together, because there's only 33,000 of us in Broward School. And for this to keep on going and our kids to get the service they need, we need to be involved. And one thing I've learned a lot from being, as remember at the beginning, I was always like, oh, ESE, ESE, ESE. Today, I'm involved involved a lot in the PTA at my school. I'm at the SAC meeting. I'm also involved at the state level. But what I wanted to say is that, thank you.
Woo, sorry, 3 minutes for everybody, sorry. Okay, now, we're going. Yeah. Another term. Huh? Oh, okay. So, there are three positions available as an executive board member. You can either vote for one person, two persons, or three. If you say none, then you're gonna have to, sort of step out and not vote. Okay? So when I call your name, again, you can vote for one person, two persons, three, or just excuse yourself from voting if you choose. Kelly Thomason.
Jessica Krepo, Kelly Bush, and Gayan Daniel.
Jessica Krepo.
Jessica Greco, Gayon Daniels, and Kelly Bush.
Jackie Luscombe.
Kelly Bush, Jessica Krepo, and
Natalie. Dr. Esai A.
Linda O's, Becky Schwartz, Natalie Adams.
Kelly Bush.
Jessica Kelly Kincaid.
Linda Adderley Oles. That would be Linda Adderley Oles. Natalie Adams. And Dr. Gayon Daniel. Oh. Steve Moya.
Becky and Natalie.
Camille Plummer.
Linda O's and Kelly, Buck Tadero, Linda O's and Kelly Buck.
Lisa Priest.
I'm gonna vote for Jessica Krepo, Kelly Bush, and Dr. Gayan Daniel.
Alicia Wolford.
Kelly and Jessica.
Naughty Weinberger.
Kelly, Jessica, and Dr. Day.
Mark Morgenstern.
Wash, Natalie, Kelly.
Ivan Barat.
Gayon Danielle.
Sorry?
Gayon.
Gayon?
Sorry. Gayon, Natalie Adams.
Linda. Bob Tadero.
Jessica, Gayon, and Natalie.
Wendy Carroll. Molina Marcos.
Yes, I have Becky, Jessica, and Kelly.
Dan Thomason.
Kelly Bush, Jessica Kreco, Dr. Daniels.
Donna DeMarco. Linda, Natalie Adams.
Natalie, Linda, and Becky.
Dr. Gayon Daniel. Dr. Gayon Daniel. wait.
You can just vote for your, just one.
You can just vote for one, you don't have to.
Just do that.
Okay. Rihanna Road Park. Andrew Oceano. Becky, I apologize. Where are you? Becky Schwartz, sorry.
I vote for,
Jessica, Kelly, and Bob. You're late. That's okay. Right on time. So we're going to say congratulations to Dr. Gayon Daniel. Okay, thank you. Kelly and Jessica. Kelly, that will conclude the election of 2016.
Okay, congratulations, and thank you to everybody who accepted a nomination, because it takes teamwork to make the dream work, and whether you were elected or not, I'm sure you will maintain active engagement with advisory. So you want a picture with?
Yeah.
Okay. All of our elected, this is exciting, your first photo op. Please stand over there. We're all of our newly elected officers. Congratulations. Chair, Allie Walford. Vice Chair, Dr. Esai Aim. Corresponding Secretary, Lisa Priest. Recording Secretary, Jackie Luscombe. Executive Board Members, Kelly Bush, Jessica Greco, and Gayon Daniel. Congratulations.
Work it, work it.
Keep smiling. Keep smiling. Keep shining.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so great.
Uh-oh, go back, go back, go back, go back.
Sonia, you've been there the longest. Get on up there. Come on. Get Sonia up there. No. Just stretch it.
Where's Mary Claire?
Okay. There you go.
That's it, total up.
And 1, 2, 3. Smile. Keep smiling. Keep.
Now do a funny one.
Oh my God.
Sweet. Okay, guys, we're already over, so we are really going to wrap it up. If anybody has systemic issues or personal concerns, I should say, we have some staff here. We have some papers you can fill out. We didn't really have time for district report or chair report, but it is late. So 2 minutes?
2.
Okay.
Let me have 3.
Okay, 3 minutes.
All right, let it rip.
Okay, so you had an opportunity to hear a number of things in the Evergreen report. You can also watch the board workshop. But there were some key highlights of things that I just want to share with you that were stated. Number 1, and most importantly, from the Evergreen report, there were 110 recommendations. You'll notice from the presentation that we had a significant number of accomplishments. Roughly 63 of the things were noted as completed, and then 40, maybe another way, 47 were noticed things that were still partially completed and were ongoing. Only 20 of those things that were noted that were completed were things that were one time, they were completed, they were done. But some of the other things, as Ms. Hoagland noted, are things that are going to be ongoing. And it's going to go from year to year because of enrollment, because of retention, because of staffing, and because of funding. So those things are things that we're going to work on. We are owning that there are issues. No, we're not saying that there aren't. There are some things that are systemic. There are some things that are isolated. We're going to work on those things and continue to do so, as noted in the Evergreen report. That Evergreen study, the report is going to be ongoing. Kelly's graciously accepted to chair that. Stacey has graciously accepted to chair that, and we'll work on the when, wheres, and hows as we move forward. But I need to draw your attention, if you would, to some things that are focus areas that were noted in our presentation that go in line with the Evergreen report, but they go in line with a number of other things that happen. Conversations with the district, conversations here at ESE Advisory, ESE Talkback, meetings with the principals, meeting with the schools, just surveys, just information such as that, the BPI, the district BPI assessment. This is how we develop what our plan and what our focus is going to be for next year. Our focus is starting this year, preparing for the end of the year and next year. Just the titles instead of specifically what they're going to be, but district and school staffing and support. It's an issue. We're going to continue to look at it. Professional development for admin to address the site-based, because we think knowledge is power, and some of the issues and mistakes are being made. Some just don't know. And then we also have to work with the gen ed teachers and our ESE staff. Parent engagement. There's a difference between parent involvement. Allie's quote from Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah.
Great one.
Parent,
being involved is one thing, but being engaged is another. You can show up, but if you don't have anything to say, then take your chair and go home. No. But no, parent engagement is important. Communication with stakeholders. That's something that we know is something we have to improve on. But there's a lot of things that are going on that are communicated already. There's a number of, there's things on social media. There's webs, there's webcasts, there's podcasts, there's the website needs an overhauling, but there are a number of trainings that are already out there that are on video that you can go online and log into. How much time I have? Good. I like the testosterone in the room. Inclusionary practices. Folks, you will notice in our district, when it comes to inclusion, let's get some numbers and stats, and these are facts, because I know in this group, facts are important, all right? So a snapshot, there's 270,000 students in Broward, 270,658 to be exact, as of March. The total ESE enrollment, 34,000, which makes 12.8% of our students are students with disabilities in the district. The total for 504 eligible makes it about 1.6%. The number of teachers in Broward, the number of teachers total pre-K to 12 is 12,815. And the number of teachers pre-K that teach at least one ESE student is 90%. 90% of our staff work with our population of students, and that means that we need to work along with them. two things Mr. Gold says, all means all. And but this is what's important to us. Our students are Gen Ed students first. And in order for us to make sure that our other folks know that who are working with them, we have to work and collaborate. We have to support, collaborate, and teach. And those are the things that our division is going to work on. But we need you all to do that. Now segueing to the newly appointed and the past, I've enjoyed my time since December 1st working in this district and working with the ESE advisory. I shared and communicated with you when I started, and this is just how I am, and I'm guessing that you'll get an opportunity to see that, and it's just human nature. If you push and pride and try to make someone do something, it's really difficult for them to get that. But there is a right way to ask, and if you know in your own homes, you know with your own children, there's a number of things you can't make them do, but you can influence them in a right way. We can work together to get these things accomplished. We can work together to get the other 43 things from the Evergreen Report and on accomplished by working together. But I know and I see some of the difficulties that we have and you have by trying to force and push people to do some things they just may not know. So we have to work together to do that collaboration. And I hope that this incoming squad is helpful, and I'm willing to work with. And I'm willing to work with you, and I'm willing to work for you. But I would like to really, really work with you to get these things accomplished. There's three other things: transition and matriculation, pre-K through 12. You know, transitioning, especially, it has a number of things, but transitioning pre-K through 12, along with transitioning into post-secondary outcomes and services. Those are things that we're working on. Performance and instruction of students. That's what we're in this business about. That's what we do. We're trying to get our children to, one, graduate and be able to be career going and career ready or job ready or school. So those are the things that we're going to work on. And then this last one, of monitoring ESE budgets of the department and at school levels. The superintendent has tasked us with looking at reviewing. Now, he actually said do it. Looking at a zero-based budget and starting from scratch and determining what it is that we actually need and to put it on the table. That's where we're going to have to head. It's going to take some work. I'm up for the task. We have a staff that is committed, educated, and experienced and seasoned, and they will. I feel really confident they'll be able to do it. I think we can do it if we work together. I wasn't here for the really negative, although I've seen some. Okay, just being honest. But the positive role, the things that are going on, not just me at the helm, but with Mr. Gold and with Dr. Wanda, and part of our communication plan. Part of the communication plan, if you take time to read through the Evergreen study, is to work with those other districts, because we can't do it. It's 400 in ESE, but collectively going to the table, being involved, participating, we can do that. Now, last, I promise this is last, if I can put my hands on it, so that you know, part of our initiatives, and this goes to money. In order to get some of those things done, some things that we propose and working on have already been pushed forward, is extending the ESE specialist calendar. And if we extend the ESE specialist calendar to 206, then that means we would need to extend the 48 program specialists. Oh, it's 226 ESE specialists? Roughly 220 some ESE specialists. We would need to also extend 48 program specialists calendar extensions, depending on which way we go with the ESE specialists. We're requesting 5 additional program specialists. We are requesting to extend the 9 grant program specialists, and all this is contingent on what we do with the ESE specialists. The AT program specialists, extending their calendar by 20 days, and hiring 2 district-based speech language pathologists. There's currently 75 vacancies in speech. So if anyone's saying there's no jobs for speech, then that's totally inaccurate. I'll jump to something that Ms. Hoagland said. We went at the table with Nova about 3 weeks ago, and they communicated that to us, and we said, there's a breakdown somewhere, because we have 75 positions open right now. And so we started a conversation and looking at how we can bring, and they have some graduates that are coming up. And so that is a plus for us. As far as transition, looking at for WOW search, expand our transition team, a district job coach, and the calendars. Those are some other positions that we're looking at. And then funding for contracted services for speech and language. Now, I didn't share with you the numbers. The numbers are in another column, but I'll just say that if we were to do just the ESE specialist, just either extend their calendar or look at funding them 100% so that they can focus only on that, that's about $4 million alone, just for that one little group of people. And I think I read over like 10 to you. And so that's a challenge, that's an uphill. And this is where you can help, support, influence, and do the things that were shared in terms of talking to board members and the like. So that's where we are, and I'll stop for now. So I welcome the new group. I say just partially bye-bye for those who are leaving, and no questions. Only had time.
Can you, I mean, and I guess, understanding obviously budgets or whatever. You guys are preparing budgets as we speak. The budget is going to come out to the board sometime in June or July or whenever it comes out and they have their first budget hearing. We need to hear those numbers as much as, it may be difficult to get what we're looking for. But if we as advocates know those numbers and say, this is what you guys, superintendent came through, obviously said he wanted a report to find out what's there. We have a direction and recommendations of what, what we're looking to have. Here's what the cost is. School board, either you want to accept the recommendations and you want to fund it, or you don't want to accept the recommendations and don't fund it. But that's for us to advocate for. But that's where we need those numbers to work together. We're sitting in like
presented when you present the budget, and it's open for everyone.
Public input, right? But prior to that, I mean, I can go to, the school board member that I represent and talk to her and say, look, this is the meeting that we had. I understand what the cost is, but this is the project that you guys funded, an Evergreen report, to find out what we need. And here's one of the things we need, and it's $4 million. So, I mean, I don't want to sound harsh, but put your money where your mouth is.
But you can do it one or two ways. Having the numbers is one way, but knowing what it is that you want to fund ESE specialists 100%.
Right. I mean, so if that's the case and it's $4 million, then that's what we got to fund. We can start one by one.
2 questions and then I'm gonna stop because I only have 3 minutes.
He's doing his talk.
Mine is not a question, but I just wanted to put on record that one of the issues that I had brought up when I came here in the beginning was that I had 2 children going to 2 different schools, in the ESE program, and the schools were 15 minutes apart. And every step of the way, since I brought it up to you, I got phone calls. The schools got phone calls, and I got phone calls. And then my last phone call I got was just about 3 weeks ago from Donna. Yes, to let me know that my daughter is going to be enrolled in the same school as my son, which prevents all the lateness that my daughter was getting every day, trying to get my son who's special needs to school and getting her 50 minutes away.
Except I have the same, and no, except my schools are close, but it would be nice if there was more preschool programs so my 2 kids could be at the same school.
It would be great. We're
Yeah,
working on that.
because there are 2 different schools.
There was a perception that occurred in 2013 when they had the sequestration cuts, and this district cut 16 positions. And my perception is that district was trying to fund ESE on FEFP and matrix money and whatever idea funds there were, and that was it. And just because the state chooses not to fund ESE well enough to meet the goals of IDEA doesn't mean the district isn't responsible to do that. The district south and north of us didn't lay anybody off during sequestration, but we did. And I'd just like to bring to the attention of the board that, and the superintendent, when it comes time to fund ESE, they need to dip into the general fund and do what needs to be done to meet the goals that IDEA sets and not count on just ESE mandated funds in order to fund ESE.
One more thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for a late night. If you want updates on ACE or DS committee, they have links on our website. If you have questions specifically about those groups, please make sure you reach out to those contacts since our meeting went so long. Thank you for bearing with us. Congratulations to all of our newly elected members of the board. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Kelly.
Woo!